The City of Toronto's new vacant home tax took effect January 1st, 2023. All Toronto residents, property owners must submit a declaration of their property's 2022 occupancy status by February 2nd, 2023. Welcome to a new episode of the Real Estate Podcast with me, Nico James-Bock, a broker with Royal LePage Signature Realty in downtown Toronto. In this episode, I'll be breaking down the City of Toronto's vacant home tax, explaining the implications to residents, homeowners, buyers, and sellers. I'm going to share my screen. The information is taken directly from the City of Toronto's website. What is the vacant home tax? An annual tax levied on vacant Toronto residences payable beginning in 2023. A property is considered vacant if it was not used as the principal residence by the owners or any permitted occupants, or was unoccupied for a total of 6 months or more during the previous calendar year. Though all homeowners are required to submit a declaration of occupancy status, the tax does not apply to properties that are the principal residence of the owner, properties that are the principal residence of a permitted occupant or tenant, properties that qualify for an exemption. I'll be talking about the exemptions a bit later. If required, homeowners can download and submit a signed paper declaration form. All residents receive the declaration form in the mail. If you did not receive it, you can easily go to the city's website, toronto.ca, vacant home tax, and download and submit the declaration form. Find more information about submitting a paper form under how to declare. Revenues connected from the vacant home tax will be allocated towards affordable housing initiatives, according to the City of Toronto. The exemptions. There are a few exemptions to the vacant home tax. Number one, death of a registered owner. The property was vacant for 6 months or more in the previous year due to the death of an owner. Supporting documentation includes a copy of a death certificate. Exemption number two, repairs or renovations. So if the vacant property is undergoing repairs or renovation and all the following conditions have been met: A, occupation and normal use of the vacant property is prevented by the repairs and renovations. B, all necessary permits have been issued for the repairs and renovations. C, the city's chief building officer is of the opinion that the repairs or renovations are being actively carried out without unnecessary delay. Supporting documentation would be the description of the type of project preventing occupancy, copy of the building permits issued related to the repairs and or renovations. Number three, principal resident is in care. So this means that the principal resident of the vacant property is in a hospital, long-term or supportive care facility for at least 6 months during the taxation year. This exemption may be claimed for up to 2 consecutive taxation years. Documentation supporting this would be a signed letter from a healthcare facility on their letterhead. Number four, transfer of legal ownership. You purchased your property with a closing in the taxation year being declared, and the sale involves a 100% transfer of an interest in the property to an unrelated individual or corporation. This excludes name changes, adding a second owner to title, and removing a second owner from title. Supporting documentation for this would be the copy of the land transfer deed. Exemption number five, occupancy for full-time employment. The vacant property is required for occupation for employment purposes for a total of at least 6 months in a taxation year by its owner who has a principal residence outside of the Greater Toronto Area. Supporting documents would be proof of residency outside of the GTA, signed letter from employer on company letterhead or employment contract. Number six, the final exemption is a court order. There is a court order in force which prohibits occupancy of the vacant property for at least 6 months of the taxation year. Obviously, the supporting documentation for this would be the copy of the court order. So going back to the change of ownership of the vacant home tax and the vacant home tax. The vacant home tax has implications for property transactions, both for purchasers and vendors, okay? It is the responsibility of purchasers and vendors to make the appropriate arrangements to ensure that the declaration has been filed. The vacant home tax will form a lien on the property, and any unpaid taxes will become the purchaser's responsibility. If a closing occurs between January 1st and the closing of the declaration period on February 2nd, the vendor must complete the declaration prior to the closing, as only the vendor will know the property's occupancy status for the prior year. If a closing occurs after the declaration period, February 3rd to December 31st, the purchaser must submit a declaration in the following year. The purchaser qualifies for the transfer of legal ownership exemption. Vendors should provide a copy of the completed and filed property status declaration to the purchaser, and vendors should provide a statutory declaration at closing confirming the filed property status declaration is true and correct. In summary, the tax has implications for both buyers and sellers. Sign and submit the declaration by February 2nd, 2023. This is for the taxation status as of 2022. If your property does not fall under one of the exemptions and it is not your principal residence and it has remained vacant for at least 6 months in the preceding year, pay the tax. Okay, that concludes this podcast. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me through my social channel, Instagram, Twitter, my real estate business webpage, or my Facebook webpage under Real Estate with Nico. That's it. Ciao for now.